It happened in full view of cameras, microphones, and a crowd that was expecting nothing more than routine promotion. Dakota Johnson made an offhand remark that sounded casual on the surface, almost harmless in tone. But the timing, the wording, and the context made it land very differently. Within seconds, Jamie Dornan's expression changed, and the atmosphere around them tightened. This was not a private exchange or a moment that could be quietly edited out later. It unfolded in public, where every reaction is magnified and every pause becomes meaningful. Jamie had always been known for his composure in these settings, especially when standing beside Dakota. That composure, however, cracked just enough for people to notice. Dakota's comment did not sound aggressive or confrontational. In fact, it was delivered with her usual dry calm, almost as if she hadn't fully anticipated its impact. The words themselves were subtle, but they carried an implication that reached far beyond the immediate conversation. It touched on something Jamie had spent years carefully avoiding in public. The reaction was immediate. Jamie's body language shifted before he said a word. His jaw tightened, his posture stiffened, and the easy rhythm of the interaction disappeared. He did not raise his voice or lash out, but the irritation was unmistakable. To those watching closely, it was clear this was not performative frustration for the cameras. What made the moment so striking was how out of character it felt. Jamie Dornan has built a reputation on restraint, especially when it comes to his professional history with Dakota. He is known for redirecting personal questions smoothly and keeping his emotional responses contained. Seeing that control slip, even briefly, sent a clear signal that something deeper had been triggered. The surrounding crew felt it too. Journalists hesitated, unsure whether to follow up or move on. The usual flow of light banter stalled, replaced by an awkward pause that no one seemed eager to fill. Dakota glanced toward Jamie, her expression shifting from casual confidence to something more measured. It was the look of someone realizing she may have crossed an invisible line. Importantly, Jamie did not explode or storm away. His reaction was quieter, more controlled, but no less intense for it. That restraint made the anger feel more real, not less. It suggested that whatever Dakota had referenced was not a surface-level annoyance, but something tied to an agreement or boundary he expected to remain intact. For observers, the question quickly became not what Dakota said, but why it struck such a nerve. Public figures hear intrusive questions constantly, yet Jamie rarely reacts this way. This moment felt personal, as if the comment had reopened something he believed was firmly closed. Dakota did not immediately clarify or apologize. She maintained her composure, continuing the conversation with a steadier tone. That calmness only heightened the contrast between them. Where Jamie appeared tense and guarded, Dakota seemed controlled, almost detached, as if she had already said what she intended to say. The crowd sensed it instantly. Social media clips began circulating within minutes, zooming in on Jamie's reaction frame by frame. Viewers speculated wildly, but even without context, the discomfort was evident. This was not manufactured drama, it was a genuine emotional response caught in a setting where emotions are usually hidden. What stood out most was that the moment did not escalate. Jamie held himself together, finishing the appearance without incident. Yet the damage, if it could be called that, was already done. The public had seen something unscripted, a flash of frustration that hinted at deeper tension beneath years of polished interactions. As the event moved on, one thing became clear to those paying attention. Dakota's comment had not just surprised Jamie, it had unsettled him. Whatever she referenced touched a subject he was not prepared to confront publicly, and certainly not in that moment. And for the first time in a long while, Jamie Dornan's carefully maintained calm had slipped just enough to raise a question no one could ignore. What, exactly, had Dakota said that made keeping control suddenly feel impossible? The tension did not disappear when the cameras stopped rolling. If anything, it lingered more heavily once the crowd moved on and the noise faded. Those who were close enough to observe noticed that Jamie Dornan became noticeably quieter, his usual ease replaced by a guarded focus. It was the behavior of someone trying to regain control after losing it, even briefly. What made Jamie's reaction so striking was how rare it was. Public frustration is not something he allows himself to display, especially in connection with Dakota Johnson. Over the years, he had perfected a careful balance of distance and politeness, a way of acknowledging their shared history without inviting interpretation. For that balance to crack in public suggested the comment had touched something he had deliberately protected. Insiders later suggested that Dakota's words did not introduce anything new. Instead, they resurfaced something old, a subject both had silently agreed to leave untouched in public spaces. That kind of agreement is never formal, but it is understood, reinforced over time through avoidance and restraint. Breaking it, even unintentionally, can feel like a betrayal of trust. From Dakota's perspective, the moment appeared to land differently. She did not seem rattled, nor did she rush to soften what she had said. Her calm suggested that the comment had not felt transgressive to her, at least not in the way Jamie experienced it. That disconnect may explain the intensity of his response more than the words themselves. Observers noted that Dakota's composure was not dismissive, but firm. She did not escalate, yet she did not retreat either. It was as if she had reached a point where carefully managing the narrative no longer felt necessary. In contrast, Jamie's reaction implied that control still mattered deeply to him. After the event, there was no public follow-up from either side. No clarifications, no statements, no attempts to reframe the moment. That silence, once again, became the loudest element of the story. In Hollywood, silence after visible tension often signals mutual recognition that something real has surfaced. The days that followed only fueled speculation, as both actors noticeably avoided situations that might invite further questions. Their schedules did not overlap, and their public appearances were carefully separated. These were not dramatic moves, but subtle ones, the kind that suggest caution rather than crisis. What many began to understand was that Jamie's anger was not directed outward, but inward. The frustration seemed less about Dakota speaking and more about the loss of control that followed. When carefully maintained boundaries are breached, even accidentally, the reaction can be disproportionate to the trigger. For Jamie, that breach happened in the worst possible place, in public, where context collapses and meaning multiplies. A comment that might have passed quietly in private became something else entirely under scrutiny. His reaction revealed just how much effort had gone into keeping certain topics contained. Dakota's role in that moment remains open to interpretation. Some believe she underestimated the sensitivity of what she was referencing. Others think she knew exactly what she was doing and simply chose not to protect a boundary that no longer served her. The truth may lie somewhere in between, shaped by years of unspoken understanding. What is clear is that the moment changed how their dynamic is perceived. The idea of effortless professionalism no longer fully fits. In its place is a more complicated picture, one where restraint, history, and unresolved tension coexist beneath the surface. In the end, Jamie Dornan's public frustration was not a scandal, but a signal. It showed that beneath years of careful composure, there are still subjects that cannot be touched without consequence. And when those subjects surface unexpectedly, even the most controlled figures can find themselves exposed in ways they never intended.